Welcome to Lincoln, home of the Terrier Nation.
Welcome to Pre-K through 12 Education Unplugged. This is our vlogging series, and today we're here with Lincoln Middle School to discuss their magnet program, the Lyceum program, correct?
Yes.
Thank you all for joining us. Today we have Mr. Strappy, he is the principal at Lincoln, Mr. Bell, he's an assistant principal, and Mr. Jones, who's also the assistant principal, to answer some of your questions about magnet programs, and in particular, Lincoln Middle School. So our first question that we have for you all is, do students have to be staffed into gifted in order to get into your magnet program?
Absolutely not. We do not require the gifted child only acceptance policy. I don't think anybody in the district does. That means that we're open to anybody and all people that are interested in our magnet program.
One of the biggest things we're looking for are students that want to be here. That they come, they fall in love with the program, they fall in love with our extracurriculars, our teachers, and they want to be here.
Okay.
Sometimes we do find that some parents may not have known about entry into the program, and once they sign up for our school, we do our best to try to get those kids in that can qualify to be in that program.
Okay, that's good to know, because some parents were confused about that.
Exactly.
Another question that we received online and through talking to parents face to face is about shadowing, because a lot of parents will like to have their child to see if their child fits in an environment. And so the question is shadowing available here at Lincoln? And if so, how do parents sign up, and what do you think the benefit of shadowing is?
Mr. Bell, you can take that.
The shadowing opportunity is definitely a really important thing. It is very competitive. We open it up from January 13th to January 30th. As of this time, it actually is up on our website. If you go to the Lincoln website and then go to our magnet link, then you can find it. But there's a couple of days that are left right now at this time, but it's pretty competitive. It gives you an opportunity to see the school. They're here from first to third period. They get to try out our customization bar, which we really feel like is the best in the district at lunch.
Now, what is a customization bar, just to stop you, because I've never heard of that?
Well, Mr. Strappy loves it.
We have almost like welcome to Mo's. We have a customization bar, only middle school, with 2 bars open for our kids, and they can go and make a selection of their choice. So it may be potato day, it may be taco day, or whatever the case may be. You can select your meat and also your toppings.
Okay.
I'll be there later today.
Okay. So you have found shadowing very beneficial for students who are entering or either just want to know about your program.
Most importantly, though, they get a chance to kind of see the culture and the climate of the school.
Okay.
And they also have the teachers that kind of carry certain projects and assignments around that time. So those students can also be involved in the assignments those days.
And because kids do shadow other schools, at least visit other schools, I think after they shadow with our school, I've heard some parents and some kids say, my daughter or my son loves this school, they want to go because of the shadowing process.
Okay.
And sometimes they come in and they say, oh, I know that student, they used to go to my school, and then they realize very quickly that this may be far away from their home, but there's a lot of students that they actually know.
Okay. And so do you pair them with another student once they come?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Here at Lincoln, we also have advanced PE. Here Coach K covers things such as volleyball, football, basketball, ping pong, calisthenics, plyometrics, and swimming. Another one of the many reasons that our students are so well-rounded here at Lincoln.
So for those students who attend 6th grade, whether it be at another school or their home zone school, and realize during 7th grade, I want to be in a magnet program or I want to try that, is that an actual opportunity that's available for 7th graders to apply?
Yes, it is. Typically, we don't have that many students that leave the program, but there are some times where a parent may get a job somewhere else and they have to move town. And in those cases, yeah, we have opportunities that open up.
Okay. And typically, how many students are selected? I guess is it per grade level, or how many students do you have in each grade level for the magnet?
Well, currently, we have opened up the amount of selection for our 6th grade. So roughly about 132.
Okay.
Roughly, we've been doing 110 though in years past.
Okay.
But right now, we're looking at trying to increase our numbers in the Lyceum program because it's been so successful here in Alachua County.
Okay, good to know.
And through attrition, sometimes, we do have some students leave, and those 6th and 7th graders that may have not been in Lyceum, that have good grades, sometimes we will hybridize those kids and make sure that some of them get some of those classes, or put them full in if we have the spots available.
Now, I would like to follow up on that. What exactly is hybridizing or having a hybrid?
So I sat down. We do data chats at our school, and all of our student services team meets with students and do about a 10-minute conversation about their FSA scores, talk about their weaknesses and their strengths. And for example, this last week I sat down with a student who was coming from a school, did not apply for our program, but he was actually, when we were diving into it, 2 questions away from a perfect score on his math test.
Wow.
On his FSA from
That's
5th grade. He maybe wasn't aware of our program, didn't know, that he maybe qualified for it. And so with that, we had him in a couple of Lyceum classes for his strengths. And then the goal is for him to try to pull up those other areas so that he can be in our Lyceum program for the following year. So we really, at Lincoln, every child always is our motto. And that means anytime a student walks through the door, we want to make sure that we are meeting them where they're at and trying to help them succeed. So.
And I can honestly say this year, it's probably been one of the best years we've had in terms of hybridizing and making sure we have some kids that can, if they're strong in some subject areas, that we do get them to take some Lyceum classes.
So it sounds like the customization bar isn't just a lunch.
Yes.
It's classes as well. That's amazing.
So funny you say that, Mr. Strappy. So what happened though, in the past, we've identified that we've had kids that may have been walking over to our campus and they're living in the surrounding neighborhoods. And like Mr. Bell says, after doing data chats and finding that kids have the ability to be able to perform in those classes of rigor, we want to ensure that we give them an opportunity to be in one of the most challenging programs here in Lyceum County.
Okay, well that's amazing and that's good to hear. Now I know this is one of the struggles that I had as a parent when my child was determining which school to go to and which program, and we've heard this from a lot of parents, and mainly it's about balance. Coming from elementary school to middle school, entering into a magnet program that's demanding, how do parents and students find balance? And for those parents that are concerned about an overload of homework or of work where their child wouldn't be able to be involved in extracurricular activities, what type of advice do you have about that? And then what type of advice do you have about finding balance in transition?
Well, the way our program is set up, we want students to become acclimated to the rigors of Lyceum, meaning that we have our teams established such that they're allowing students to adjust to the fact that you'll be transitioning in between 6 periods, and also the work level and workload. They are asked to do some challenging assignments and things of that nature, but you have a teacher that guides them through the process of how to develop certain skills to be able to perform at that level. Our 6th grade team really focuses on the organization skills of many of their students, and they give them planners and things of that nature to make sure that they're documenting and tracking things that are due, when they're due, and making sure that they can turn them in and get assistance when they're needed also. What happens then as they matriculate into the 7th grade, we have a little bit more stringent requirements and things as far as assignments, workloads, projects and other assignments and things of that nature, but they're still working with them. Now, by the time they're in the 8th grade, we want them to be able to handle the true rigors of the Lyceum program, because we're preparing them to take those classes that are AP or either IB or Cambridge or those things. We want to make sure they have the opportunity to get into those kind of programs after middle school.
Just to reiterate what he was saying, especially with those planners, the teachers use those planners a lot. So if the parents can check those planners, and also if the parents can also stay abreast and check Skyward, because that helps them to know exactly some of the projects that's due ahead of time, and some of the assignments that are due ahead of time. Also, the teachers are very, very, very helpful in terms of taking late assignments for 6th graders as they come to make that transition. So that helps out a lot as well.
Yeah, and I would say there's a couple things. One, the teachers email every Friday with a list of everything that went on that week and what to look forward to for the next week, which really keeps the parents kind of knowing what's going on in the classroom. If they have questions, there's a link on every email to each teacher to where they can email the teacher directly, and that's a big deal. I also think, we're a liberal arts school, that's a big focus for us. When you see the students that come through here, yes, our academics are very rigorous. It's challenging, but we have students that are competing in every area out there. We had a student win the national chess competition last weekend. At the band concert last night, there were 2 students that were announced as first chair for the state. We have students that are competing in swim competitions, on the basketball team, football team, robotics. They just won the district competition that we had a couple weeks ago. So our students are well-rounded, and I think that's the key. We want students to be able to develop their strengths, to figure out what they love, what they're passionate about, and middle school is the time to do it. That way they can figure it out when they get to that high school level.
We try to find those students too. We try to find those students, locate those students, and give them shout outs on the morning announcements.
That's nice.
We got a couple students that's equestrian, that horseback riding competition, lacrosse, tennis, all of that. We try to make sure we stay abreast of who's doing these things so we can give them a shout out on the morning news.
So you really focus on the whole child.
The whole child.
I'm realizing that the extracurricular really is what makes a child well balanced, and it's necessary for them to be involved in more than just school, but in other things as well to develop. I like that. That's really good. So our last question for you is, what makes Lincoln so special? What is it that our parents need to know about being a part of the Lincoln family?
Anybody want to take that question first?
I can start off with part of it I'm familiar with, and that's our facilities. We open the facilities up to the community to rent it or use it for banquets, concerts, plays, and that brings a lot, more people into our school. So we open it up so the community can at least use our facilities. And I'm the person that set up all those things. So I know, a lot of the different organizations that wants to use our facilities and stuff. So the community is very, very welcome to use our facility. We don't open up for a lot of things, but for certain things we do.
And I would say the type of students that we're producing, that when you go to the high school level, they know that a Lyceum student is going to come in their 9th grade year and they're going to not knock the ball out of the park. I mean, they're going to be ready to go from day one. Middle school is a time where students are trying to figure out who they are. Parents are trying to figure out who their child is becoming. And we want to give them that support. And so when you see a student come in their 6th grade year and not know how to use a planner, not know how to transition from one class to another, and then you see them their 8th grade year given a 5-minute monologue in front of all of their students on a historical figure, and they're confident in doing so in front of 120 students, that's a big deal, and we see that transition. So when they get to 9th grade, there's really nothing that's going to get thrown at them that they can't handle, and I think that's a huge key.
I think also how we tie the past in. Lincoln is one of our historical peer marking schools from back in the day. This was the school that housed our African Americans up until '69. Before they integrated the schools. With that being said, we make sure every student here gets a taste of the history and the pride that Lincoln still has as a cornerstone on the east side of town. Mr. Washington, we have him out here as one of our hall monitors, who is also a historian. He goes and does presentations in the classroom to make sure that they know about the wonderful history of our beloved Lincoln. Many of us attended the school, as middle school students, and we also have those that our parents attended the school. So it's those kind of things that we tie in to make sure we create a culture and a climate, as well as a true family atmosphere to create these well-rounded students here at Lincoln.
And we do have a memorabilia room that signifies and shows all that, but when the school was in high school, from 7th grade to 12th grade, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you all for joining us in our Unplugged series. This is definitely a pleasure, and we are excited for parents to learn more about Lincoln. If they have any questions, you know who to contact. They're definitely available. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So every day on the news, when we sign off to the admin team, we have a little phrase that we say that here at Lincoln,
Teachers love to teach,
and students love to learn. Let's make it a great day.